Congratulations. I know it's been coming for you, but to get your first true road win against an ACC team, what kind of moment is this for your team?
I just left a bunch of young men that are just happy. They're joyous. And it was the perfect amount of celebration for what we did. It was fairly muted, but it was more just them chatting with each other and, joking with each other, talking about the game. And I just stood there and took it all in, and I was just so happy for them. And to see that winning feeling, coursing through their veins and through the program. And like you said, it felt really, really good. And we talked a lot about that heading into the game, that this was our first true road opportunity. And, everyone talks about it, I think. But for me personally, I don't think there's nothing better in this sport than going on to someone else's barn and getting a win and hearing the silence when you walk off and head to the bowels of the arena and get to celebrate with your team. And this was our first opportunity, like I said, in a road win, and we got it done.
You started Brandon Walker, Jamarin Davis-Fleming tonight. In the first half between the two, 15 points, 10 rebounds. What was the thought process behind starting those two guys tonight?
I'm not that smart. If I'd have known, that was going to be the case, I'd have started them earlier. And it was just a matchup thing. We wanted to switch it up and, get a new feel, a new vibe, a new rotation. And fortunately, it worked to our favor tonight anyway.
Your first half defense, of course, now they're not a good shooting team, but I thought your first half defense was really good. Did you do any emphasis, because they're not a good shooting team, to do anything differently than we normally do?
Yeah, I thought it was too. I was pleased with our being assignment correct and trying to get the game plan onto the floor. And we've been getting better at that. We've been getting better at transferring our work and our scout into the game, which is a big deal for us. And hopefully that bodes well going forward. Obviously, Kawasi Reeves had a heck of a game, and, he got loose, and we had to switch up how we were defending him, and, we had to no-catch him there in the last 5 minutes and, just not give any help off him when he was one pass away. But, the other guys, some other guys, like 2 and 1, we were really adamant about, going under ball screens and keep them out of the paint. And one of the big goals going into the game was to not let 6 and 11 and 5, even their big fives, rim run in the half court and get lobs, because they change the mood in the arena. It brings life to their bench. And, we really worked on our ball screen defense and a little bit of a tweak what we normally do, try to keep that roller in front of us so they couldn't get those rolls down the middle of the lane and throw it up. And those guys are so athletic, and I've seen it happen so many times on video. And I don't know if they had one all night. I can't remember if they did, but if it was really late in the game.
First half, they had 6'6" guard starting on Josh Hubbard. They had switched at 6'4" guard on Josh Hubbard. He didn't have a great half. Second half, he was really good. What was the difference?
Again, you didn't have to ask him. I don't know. We talked as a team, and I told them, and I shared with the staff a lot, I think our guys are going to be a little shell-shocked by the size of Georgia Tech, because they don't start anybody, or normally they don't start anybody under 6'6" across the lineup. And obviously we don't have that kind of length in our guard court. And certainly it was like, how is that going to play out? And the big thing we talked about was using our speed and using our quickness to our advantage and just, battling them, out front and doing the things we want to do against the shooters and the non-shooters. But certainly Josh had a big impact in the second half especially. He's the main one that got us some separation there, to pull away at the end.
Well, after a big win like that, I don't want to talk about negative things, but a couple of turnovers late in the game against the pressing, the trapping, and those kinds of things. And I've watched you practice your press offense. Your press offense is fine. What's it just a matter of execution, or what's going on with just the turnovers against that press?
A lot of things. Let's be honest. We're not blessed with great size with some of our guards. So normally when we run our press-O and they get into a certain situation, we're trying to not catch it in the coffin corners, right? Rule number 1. So what you do is you work to get open. If you don't get open, then you stop and seal them and use your frame and throw a little, lofted pass to catch it, but not get trapped in the corner. And so that's a little more difficult for us. And so we've got to get our 4s and 5s a little more involved, and they were a little bit. We got some catches from then. And then when it got late, we told them, hey, when they make a basket, just let it bounce and get organized, and don't worry about, getting the ball out of the net and trying to push the ball. And the one time, Quincy took the ball out, and it might have been a violation. They didn't call it, but we just didn't get quite as organized as we wanted. We ran, obviously, one home run play that we didn't get the layup on, and we had another one in the books, and then it got to the point where we were up enough that we didn't have to burn it and show, a future opponent another one.
Against a bigger team like Georgia Tech, tell me how happy these numbers make you. You outscored them in the paint, 42-26, outscored them on second chances by 5, 16-11, and you had 6 more block shots, 9-3, than they did. How happy does it make you, and what's it say about the way your guys played against a bigger group tonight?
The 9-3 block shots was surprising. I didn't realize it during the game, and then that's the first thing I pointed out to the staff in our locker room before we met with the kids that, wow, we had 9 block shots. That's a lot, for any basketball team. And, hopefully it means that they're, getting better at competing at the rim. And on the other end, one of our big things going in is anything around the basket, you had to shot fake everything. Unless it was a clear path, they would go for every shot fake, and you had to continue to just believe in it and not travel because they're very quick-twitched and they block shots and turn defense into offense. So I was really happy about that. And all the other things you talked about, that's great. But, we gave up 17 offensive rebounds, and they didn't capitalize on all of them because of the second chance points were only 11, but they had opportunities to capitalize on them, and that's got to be something we got to figure out. We got to do it by committee. We've got to do it by committee, and we got to get everybody involved. We had some missed checks early, and we got to be better at it. Now 5 of them were team rebounds, so that's a little bit different when the ball gets tipped, et cetera. But I thought, we out-rebounded them and rawed at it, which doesn't mean that much in this day and age.
I'll let you run on this one. I don't know if they send you a trophy for this or not, but your team clinched the challenge for the SEC with the win tonight. You guys put it over the top for the league. Is there some pride there for you and your guys?
Sure. The TV guys asked me before the game, how much stock do I put in, trying to get a winning point, if you will. And I said, I'll be honest with you right now. I'm concerned about Mississippi State basketball and winning a game.
That's exactly what I said in the pregame show.
And I love the SEC, and I want to do our part. But at the end of the day, it was not a motivational tactic that we used with our team. It was about trying to beat Georgia Tech on the road and take care of Mississippi State. But certainly love the fact that we had a good night, which I didn't realize at all. I haven't seen anything, and I'm glad that we turned the tide a little bit.
Congratulations. I know it's a big win for your team, big moment here early in the year. Have a safe trip home, and we'll see you in Tupelo on Sunday.
Well, hopefully we'll see a bunch of people in Tupelo. I appreciated the fans that are here tonight. We had a couple maroon and white chants going on there late, and that's always an awesome feeling on the road. Hail State.